Oops, how do I take this off? There we go. Hey everyone, welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Um, Welcome back to the Action Taker series. And we've talked about a lot about taking action, productivity in the past episodes. We talked about why we struggle to take action, and also we talked about building a daily habit that can stick. Very simple stuff, and we will continue with that trend today. We'll continue to keep it simple because we'll talk about tracking progress, and more importantly, tracking progress without getting overwhelmed. Okay, so again, I'm Coach Rye, and I'm an executive coach and a tech consultant. I help people take action on what matters most, whether it's business, personal growth, or productivity. And right now, I am kind of setting up the groundwork for my business here in Canada. I had a similar business in the Philippines, similar practice, but it's totally different here. So, just getting used to that. So, why this topic? I think for me, it's something that a lot of us can relate to. Personally, there were a lot of times where I couldn't tell if I was making any real progress. I felt busy, but I had no idea if I was actually moving forward, if I was making progress. And a lot of times, this has really made me doubt that the steps that I was doing made me even give up. Okay, so that's happened to me, and I bet it's happened to some of you too, because it is hard to keep at it, keep a daily habit going if we feel that we're going nowhere. Okay, and yeah, so for me, that frustration led me to first simplify how I track these goals, and I want that to share that with you today. Again, this is a simplified version. This is to get us started. Because I've been doing this for a while now, I have my own other advanced methods, or I've doubled these things that I'm about to show you. Let's just get started. So first, why does tracking feel so hard? Okay. First, it feels like additional work. I mean, you're already busy. You already have that new habit that you have. And then now you gotta track all these habits to make sure there's progress in there. It just, it feels overwhelming. That's where the overwhelming comes from, right? There's so many things going on. And then you have this additional thing that you have to look at almost at a daily instance. Second thing why tracking is hard is, and this happens to me, is we get lost in comparison, right? We start looking at what other people are doing instead of what you're doing. And that is, you can go down the rabbit hole in that. You can go, what's wrong with me? That's where the doubt comes in. What's wrong with me? This guy is doing so much. What's wrong with me? Why can't I keep up, right? This person is posting daily. I can't even track one habit. This person is, going on runs daily. I can't even, do a single walk or whatever, right? So just remember, when you start to feel this way, is tracking progress should feel personal, right? Don't be pressured by other people. I always use this, I always say this, we all have our journeys, and it's the same thing for our, for progress, for all our habits. we all have our own journey. Okay, just because you think you are at the same say situation or level as this other person doesn't mean you really are. You don't know what's going on in their lives, right? You might think, oh, we're in the same spot, they're doing so much better. Maybe they have help, maybe there's something else going on that you don't have, you can't take advantage of. Okay, so let's not get lost in comparison. The last thing why tracking is so hard, and again, happens to me, that's why I'm talking about this. We start to focus on the wrong things, right? Vanity metrics like followers, views, hours, that, number of views and number of minutes, or, yeah, again, we're talking about vanity metrics here, that don't always reflect meaningful progress. Okay? There is a book that my brother recommended before, The 4 Disciplines of Execution, where they talk about lag metrics versus lead metrics. And oftentimes we start to look at the lag metrics, right? What we should be doing is don't focus on that. Focus on the work that you're putting in. Focus on the things that you're doing, right? That allows you to just keep moving because you're seeing progress based on the things that you have control of, not based on what people can control or other people can control. Okay, so let's not focus on the wrong things. Okay, if anybody's out there, oh, by the way, I'm also live streaming this on Twitch this time. I'm trying the Riverside plan for this. Let's see if I have friends on Twitch. For those of you who are out there, what's one thing that you've tried to track and kind of gave up on? Okay. This is one thing that I'm still doing is calories. That one, I don't think that's a vanity metric, that's a real metric, but it was too hard for me to track when I was starting this new kind of fitness routine. So instead of counting calories, I kind of decided to start first with, just having 20 minutes workout. Okay, something simple, right? So, because it can get really difficult. I was overwhelmed because it was additional work that I had to do. But anyway, I'm interested to know, for those who are watching, what's that metric or that thing that you are trying to track and just gave up on. Okay. Now let's move on to the tracking system. I don't like calling these things a system because they're so simple, but a lot of times we need to go back to the basics. We need to go back to just simplifying our life and focusing on what matters. Okay? And this one, you're going like, right? That's nothing new. It's nothing new, but you sometimes need a reminder. So let's get on it. Track one thing, right? You want to track just one thing for that new habit that you're building. And I like this question that I ask myself is, did I show up today? Right? We're not talking about perfection for now, just showing up. What does showing up mean? Showing up means if you are trying to write a book, or trying to write, start a blog, did you write for maybe 10 minutes? Just say 10 minutes. Did you show up and write for 10 minutes? If you're trying to build your business, did you show up and make one phone call? If you are in your fitness journey, did you show up and, do a 10-minute walk or 10 push-ups? I don't think I can do 10 push-ups, but I can certainly do 10-minute walks, right? So just start with that for now. That's it. Track that, right? Again, I talk about that simple thing that you can do. Did you show up for that? Personally, what I love to do is I block a time in my calendar. Not everybody likes this. Not everybody loves to use their digital calendar. I don't get it because it's on your phone, but to each his own, his or her own. Another thing that you can do is just set an alarm. Okay, if you don't want to block your time, fine, but set an alarm so you get reminded, because life gets in the way. So many things going on and life gets in the way. All right. Use a simple tool. Like I said, personally for me, it's my phone. I have my calendar and I have my to-do list. You don't have to have both. You can just, do whatever you want. You can have a sticky note that you have on your, fridge or your mirror. You can have a notebook if you want to. You can even have, if you want to go old school, print a calendar. Okay, just use a simple tool. Did I show up today? Check. I should have that. I have a daily couple of daily habits. Again, it's not just one for me now because I've kind of progressed since then. I have, I keep track of my journaling, right? So I'll have that. I even keep track of greeting people on their birthday. So if I've greeted you on your on Facebook, if your birthday is on Facebook, sometimes you're also on my calendar. That's why I get to greet you. I've missed a couple for sure. There was a time I went through something. I missed greeting people, but I've been very diligent so far. I have that on my tracking tool. So I go out and go every day, hey, happy birthday. And why? Because it's important for me. Okay. Anyway, this one is a bit harder. This is the weekly. We want to people call it weekly reflection. I just call it a weekly review. Again, best to set a block of time for this, and you ask yourself. For those working in corporate, this will sound very familiar. Ask yourself what worked, what didn't, what do I want to keep or adjust, right? So I think sometimes you go, stop, what do I need to stop? Continue, what do I need to continue? And what do I need to start? Start, stop, continue. Those are the things you want to ask yourself about that habit that you're building, right? If, for example, I was saying calorie counting at the start of my fitness journey was not working. So I had to realize that if I kept looking at that, at those metrics, I knew that I was just gonna stop and stop altogether and give up. So I had to change, right? By doing that, you kind of hone in on the one metrics that matters for you, right? Because one metric that matters is better than 10 that you ignore, right? No matter how much I think calorie counting is great, if I'm just gonna ignore it, nothing will happen. All right, so do that. Again, 3 things. Just track one thing. Did I show up today? Use a simple tool and do that weekly reflection. So you got calendars on your phone. Set it up in there. Whether it's or an alarm, if that works better for you. Up to you. If you are my friend, I did send out a notice that if you want to have an accountability partner, specifically for this, right? You can do a weekly reflection with me, or you can find your own accountability partner if I don't know you. Just have somebody to throw out your goals, that you want to do, your habits that you want to stick to, and then send that email out to that accountability partner. They can do the same to you, right? This makes it easier also because you have somebody who's keeping you accountable, who's keeping track of these things with you, working with you, and you feel a better connection to the things that you're trying to accomplish. Right? If you're out there, let me know. Any thoughts on that very simple tracking? I hate to call it system, but let me know. All right. The power of visual progress. So, as much as I like, uh, uh, this is the reason I like tools, because the visual cues in these tools just give me a sense of fulfillment, right? It keeps me on on track, right? Like, for example, a streak on the calendar, right? If you see you are, so what I do, by the way, is I have them on my calendar and I take them out if I don't get them done. Okay, that way I know when I haven't gotten something done. You know, I, you can also have a checklist that you tick off, and you can actually see how much you've ticked off. Um, Again, if you're a, let's just say, old school, where you want the physical copy, you can have a jar and drop things in there, just to see that number grow, and you can see you're actually progressing. All these visual cues just really makes you, it does fuel you to keep going, because you are showing up every day. It gives you that pat in the back from yourself too, right? So like I said, for me, I have that calendar. I actually use a digital to-do list that I check every day when I journal, and I greet people on their birthdays, right? It's a pretty cool tool that I found online. It syncs my to-do list with my calendar. All right. I'm a geek that way. You don't have to get all that fancy, but my brain loves that stuff. And if you are that kind of person, or if you want to give it a try, why not check it out? Check out all the available tools for you. Okay, so again, your brain just loves this visible proof that you're winning, even in the small steps. Even the jar, you see the beads count go up. You see the checklist and all that. Your brain will love that, and it will just keep pushing you forward. All right. So again, the whole point of this is, tracking your progress does not have to be fancy. In fact, it's better that it's not, especially when you're just slowly, building your habits. What's important is that you need to be consistent, and they need to be meaningful for you to take action, right? Because if it's not meaningful enough for you, if it's just something that you followed from somebody, it's just not gonna work out. You can't keep at it, right? You lose focus and you'll give up. Okay, so just some reflection question for you. What's one thing you've been trying to track, and what is that something that you will start to do, or at least try to do, right? This will be that something that you will kind of change in your routine. Okay, drop it in the comments, let me know, and hopefully this has been helpful for you. And I'll see you next week for the next and final episode of the Action Taker series. I'm trying to remember what's that. For the Action Taker series, it will be about the next Action Taker series episode. It will be about celebrating small wins, because we all need to celebrate small wins. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye. done yet.